Despite its fading title bid, Ferrari went into the summer break with defiant statements that its performance in the first half of the 2022 Formula 1 season means there is no reason to change. The recent Hungarian Grand Prix was the latest race led by Ferrari's championship leader, Charles Leclerc, which ended with him not even making the podium, let alone winning. Leclerc had only one podium in the last 8 races. His victory in the Austrian Grand Prix, as a combination of team and driver errors, have caused his championship challenge to crumble. In Hungary, he was hurt by the latest Ferrari strategy blunder, using the woefully ineffective hard tires for his final stint. As a result of the decision, Leclerc dropped from 1st to 6th place, and Ferrari had to pit him a 3rd time to switch to soft tires. In the 2 championships, Leclerc and Ferrari are now 80 and 97 points behind Max Verstappen and Red Bull respectively. When asked if Ferrari needs to assess changes during the summer break, or if it has simply been unlucky, team boss Mattia Binotto said that it's not a matter of bad luck and that there is nothing to change. It's always a matter of continuous learning and building experience, building skills. Certainly there is something in which we need to look and understand why. But if I look again at the balance of the first half of the season, there is no reason why we should change. I think we simply need to address what has gone on in Hungary, that we need to first understand, and then to address and try to be back as competitive as it has been in 12 races so far. And there is no reason why it cannot be the case at the next. When Leclerc said that using the hard tires was the turning point in the race, Ferrari's focus was on why those tires did not perform as expected, rather than the strategic decision to use them. It was consistent with Binotto's other responses this season when Ferrari's strategic decisions were questioned. Ferrari has long been plagued by a culture of blame and fear, and Binotto has been dedicated to changing that. To a large extent, it worked. Ferrari appears to be more secure and cohesive operation under his leadership. However, a no-blame culture, such as the one frequently mentioned during Mercedes' dominance of F1 during the hybrid era, does not imply that a team denies the existence of problems. It simply avoids attributing them to a single person or blaming a department for a failed outcome. There is room within that to say, this needs to be improved. This is a strategy for Ferrari, but it is arguably over-protected. The emphasis on poor performance on various compounds in Hungary does not negate the fact that the strategy was also poor. Binotto's defiant stance that Ferrari does not need to change is most likely a reference to personnel, and he may be correct in that regard. Mid-season, advocating for the firing of specific employees would accomplish nothing, and the priority should be on getting the most out of the current team, sharpening processes, improving tools, and empowering crisper, bolder decisions. Within that, there must be room to educate people about mistakes and work to prevent them from happening again. Ferrari does not have to publicly acknowledge this in order to take steps behind the scenes to address it. However, the recurrence of problems suggests that it isn't. After the race in France, where Leclerc crashed out, he stated that there was no reason Ferrari couldn't win the remaining races and save its championship bid. Obviously, it was a glass-half-full attitude, but Hungary was a painful, immediate reminder of how wrong it was. As a race team, Ferrari is not as consistent as it should be. If there is truly no reason to change, there is no reason to believe Ferrari's errors will cease. Another issue for Ferrari could be internal pressure, with Mattia Binotto the most likely target. With so many mistakes, people will naturally look for a scapegoat, and some are concerned that Binotto will become that scapegoat. Ex-F1 driver Ralf Schumacher is one such person who believes Binotto's job is in jeopardy during the summer break. I see 2 people's jobs in danger, Daniel Ricciardo and also Mattia. Schumacher told Sky Deutschland, "When you get the gift of being able to go for the World Championship with Ferrari and throw it away so carelessly, it should become difficult for you. So I see him in danger during the summer break. There are too many little things that are going wrong and too many technical problems." Fortunately for Ferrari, Binotto's public statements do not represent the entire team, including Charles Leclerc. In an interview with the BBC, Leclerc stated that he and his team must work hard to figure out where things went wrong, and he admits that they still have a long way to go. Let's say that we know we need to work on that. We want to do absolutely everything to get better in every single thing we do. And obviously, looking at the first part of this season, there have been some strategy problems, there have been some reliability problems, and there have been some driving mistakes. On reliability and strategy, we're working extremely hard to get better. And after a mistake, we always go through exactly the same process, which is to try and analyze from where the mistakes come, why did we take the wrong decision at a certain point of the race in order to go forwards. As soon as we understand a mistake, then we can move on. According to Leclerc, he and teammate Carlos Sainz are heavily involved in the discussions, and the Monegasque believes they will improve. When asked what gives him this assurance, Leclerc stated, "The way that we work, because I know how tough it's been the last few years to get back to where we are. And I know that we arrived at that level because for 2 years we've been working on those weaknesses of the car. So we still have weaknesses and we need to work on them. But if we work as well as we did in the last 2 years on other weaknesses, I'm confident we will overcome them." The ability of both Ferrari drivers to move on from their or their team's mistakes has been one of their strong points, and it hasn't gone unnoticed. Laurent Mekies, the Scuderia's race director, is one person who has shed light on this. Mekies explained how both drivers are able to calm down quickly after a difficult event in order to analyze what occurred. With both these guys, we have had very good highs and we have had very painful lows this season. And in both ways, in both directions, when they come back to the garage, when they have looked at what happened, when they have looked at the data, they are able to reset, to be in the learning mode pretty much after 15 minutes. So you need to separate that from maybe what you can hear in the radio in the heat of the moment when they are racing with a high heart rate. I think it's two different things. But when they get out of the car and they analyze everything, after an hour, they will be back into the analysis mode and showing little emotion in a negative way, no negative emotions, but instead, you can see it drives them to even more motivation. While Ferrari's strategy mistakes were highlighted at the Hungarian Grand Prix, it was Leclerc's own error that sparked a debate 1 week earlier in France. Mekies, however, claims that the team is not concerned and they do not want the driver to change his driving style. Let's start from the speed. He has been showing such outstanding speed this year again that you don't want to go and touch that aspect, and Charles doesn't need us to understand, as a great racing driver, to understand where he needs to go in terms of closeness to the limit. He's a master of that, and as we all do, mistakes can happen. I think we don't look at single mistakes, we look at the strike rate, we look at how extraordinarily you're able to do things compared to stuff that you do not as good. And I think his strike rate this year has been very, very impressive, and we don't want him to change anything. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to be notified of future uploads. And let us know in the comments what you think about Ferrari's situation. Will they be able to bounce back? Do you agree with Ralf Schumacher that Mattia Binotto's position is in jeopardy?